Cadential progressions, and I've got Bach overseeing this part of the presentation. I think the technique that we ask our students to do, that they prepare for every level for examinations, is a wonderful launching point for some harmony explorations. Method books introduce this progression very early, and we can take that. That's a 1, 5, 6, 5, 1 progression. And we can go many places with that. We can build it to include the chord of 4. Now, you need a slightly bigger and more coordinated hand to get the full dominant 7th. So often we omit the 5th of the chord, or we can just make it a triad. It doesn't matter. It's dominant harmony. So, and a lot of method books will put that very progression in C major and G major in front of the student. So I think there are wonderful opportunities to follow up on this. Left hand, right hand, any key. We can put it into the minor mode immediately. We can take it. A variety of keys. I'm still locked, though, in one position. I remember doing that probably in my first year of piano lessons. I grew up in the Boston area, and there was no conservatory curriculum or examination system. So my exposure to not just theory, but to technique was very haphazard. But I had a wonderful teacher. I could barely play a scale by the time I got to grade 8 piano, because I'd spent so little time doing it. But I sure could do this kind of thing. Fooling around with chord progressions and a variety of keys. Arpeggios were a total shock to my system when we moved back to Canada. I couldn't believe that people were expected to do things like that. And in keys like B major. So what happens with these little chord progressions is we can move a student into cadences after that. And at a certain point, this becomes an examination requirement anyway. And I wouldn't leave it at that. I found students who like to learn their one and only cadence and then just copy it. It's like they're pressing Control-A, copy, and just moving it to the required keys, and that's it. I'd say that if we go up to 4, next time we better go down to 4. If we start it here, we want to take an exercise and put it through all its paces and find out what is the variety here. How many ways can we play this? How many ways can we present it? How many keys can we do it? And the answer should be 24. And then see what the next step is. So the next step would be to decorate it. I have students who are probably playing at the grade 3 piano level who are doing this kind of cadence. And the really keen ones are starting to do things like this because they think it's so funny. And then check and see if they fooled me. Now it will be many years probably before we sit down and open a book and get out some manuscript paper and say, this is a deceptive years. But we're doing it well in advance. So that's what I mean by deceptions and decorations. Decorations like the 7, or decorations like that over-the-top harmony paper I was telling you about earlier. And remember, I said he wasn't done at that point. We had to have a trill on the final resolution. So building from method book into cadences, and I continue to use the cadences 4, 5, 1, we have a deceptive resolution possible. We've got dominant sevenths coming in as decorative passing notes. So next would maybe be to make this into a descending thirds kind of progression. Heart and soul, they all know heart and soul. So 2, 6, 5. Now, you know, if you say the word modulation, their faces will blanch. If you say, oh, you know what, this is kind of neat. Can we go up a semitone? Because I'm too lazy. It's kind of nice. It's a nice way to get to 5. We'll just go up the semitone. Right? So what have we done? We've gone from 2, 6, 5, which we arrived at very easily and naturally in a falling thirds progression. Could have been 4 as well. 1, 6, 4, and then 5, 6, 5, and 5. Or 2, 6, 5, doesn't matter. Cadential 6, 4. Okay. When's the last time we tried to explain cadential 6, 4s to students? I don't think they should ever be discussed. I don't think I am ever going to verbalize what a cadential 6, 4 is again as long as I live. It's just too difficult because you get into the whole alternate notation. Almost any textbook you look at will provide 1, 6, 4 to 5. Well, how can 1, 6, 4 to 5 be the same as 5, 6, 4 to 5? It can't be. It's not possible. This is 1, 6, 4. This is 5, 6, 4. They're clearly not the same chord. What's going on? So I've just stopped talking about it. All my students are playing cadential 6, 4s years before I let them pick up a pencil. It's just a decoration. You just do it. Right? So I like to have them doing all the things that they will eventually write down and analyze and be tested or assessed on later at the keyboard. And this is what I mean by tackling the stuff in that column from the right, that keyboard harmony set of activities is really the best conduit that I have found into the column on the left. So, larger progressions, well, we've already built this into a larger progression. We've got some sight, we've got some descending thirds happening. Deceptive cadence. 4, 5, 1. How many names are there for that thing I just played? It's the pedal 6, 4. How many of you old enough to remember auxiliary 6, 4? You're dating yourself. In fact, I think one of my pledges to myself, the next harmony course I teach in a small class format, I'm going to try to do it in monastic silence and see how far I get. Okay, 2 5s. So, fundamental cadential progression. And this comes even in a number of really interesting directions. So it could be just a plain old triad, 2, 5. You can put the sevenths in. You can get sneaky. We can realize that this is also a very important progression in popular music. Start to jazz it up a little bit. That's irresistible to all my teenage boy students when I do something like that. And then, okay, so we can do this version of 2 5s. I'm going to do them in a whole bunch of keys. And we can go up chromatically, which means that the brain is working very quickly until the point that the hand just takes over and knows what it's doing, or we can do it by cycle of fifths. So we're always mixing things up. So this is a mainstay of my lesson time, really, and I build it into every lesson.